Hi, it's Tyler Commander here, and just a little helpful video I thought I might make because Mancake Chris suggested I thought was a good idea as well, is trying to do setting changes on your server when you set up your own server for Zomboid. As you can see here, I got one here set up. It's challenge one I'm going to start using to make a specific challenge YouTube video. And right over here, you can see like how this is my admin login, what you can set on your own server. It just varies a little bit between server and server where that is, but there should be, usually by default, I think it's like admin and password, but I've changed mine. And you can change yours to whatever. So then you'll just go into your server using those login information. Which I think most people, probably don't have too much issue with that. Just be going into this like you would when you create your character or whatnot, but this will be my admin password and username. So once I get in, it's gonna let me use that to modify certain settings in the game that normally just are set to Apocalypse by default. I could not find any other way to modify that straight out other than just modifying the settings. So we're just gonna go to Riverside. Doesn't really matter where. This doesn't really matter, so just load in my pre-Carpenter's one, and we'll load in. Look, doesn't really matter, but again, I already played this, so I'll just preload. Handy dandy me there. Boom. And we just gotta wait for the. And I don't know why, but like this server I'm doing gives this error, but my other server gives a different error for auto port close. But they all seem to work just fine. So I'm not sure if anybody else had that problem, but that's like so. Okay, now once you start into your server, you'll have an extra option you don't normally have. Normally you'll see like client, it's pretty normal. But you'll have this extra option right here, admin panel. And if you've done it correctly, you should see admin next to you, whatever your username is. So, get a sandbox option, for instance. You can use presets, to apply and change settings. You can go to time and set when the server starts, which by default, I think it's like July 19th or so. But that's, Now that I've noticed from testing, this only works if you clear out the save data in your server under the files and like basically reset the server in a way. That'll reset, but these settings will stay. You can set when the water's supposed to shut off, how many alarms, things like that. These things can make things easier or harder. You got, the temperature, how long to take the compost. If you really want to make things harder for you, you can make the helicopter event happen more than once, as well as other kind of events. How often generators spawn, how much fuel they consume, that kind of stuff. Like all these little settings here that can make this stuff harder, and it does tell you like what they are if you're not sure, what the default is, things like that. You can increase or decrease your multiplier for your XP. You can even add determine if XP multipliers affect passively leveled skills, i.e. fitness and strength. You can make yourself start with a starter kit, which includes chips, water bottles, school bag, baseball bat, and a hammer, which can be fairly helpful to start. But, if you want more of a traditional experience, you can leave that off. You can allow, like, the world map or no world map. You want to play like Man Cave Chris does on Valheim with, like, no map. He just draws his own. Like, you turn this off, you turn that off, boom, no map. You got here like your vehicles and settings related to those. How often the alarm goes off, things like that. Most of the stuff is set on this particular server by default, but like here you can change like your zombies. Speed, fast shambles, strength, normal, things like that. Like infection, mortality, how long it takes to die, how long it takes to reanimate. All these things. Like I said, the normal mode is this with the proper, but you can modify these as you see fit. Again, like I said, if you're not sure what a setting does, just highlight it. It'll tell you, you know, things. You got these population multipliers. Now, because this server I'm setting for a challenge, a lot of these things are turned to 0. That'll let me turn to 0. I mean, it does tell you like minimum, maximum, like population peak. It's not going to get any. It's not going to peak up. It's going to start at default 1, which I think my research is like 52,000 zombies. Because with this challenge server, I'm going to try to wipe out all the zombies. I don't want them respawning. I don't want them redistributing into other locations, things like that. So all that stuff's turned off. So that's going to be, and then I have a mod in here. And sometimes mods will pop up in here, and this one's a kill count mod. So, which is, again, related to this type of server. So, like I said, again, I do recommend, going through here if you don't like the apocalypse settings and you want to adjust things. Like I said, if you're not sure what you want to adjust or you just want to make it harder, easier, these presets are very helpful to do as well. So, like this is the best way to change a lot of the settings, but this isn't all the settings. So, and if you're once you're done, you want to hit apply settings if you change any settings. Down there, there's server options right here. Now this one's done in alphabetical order, but you can change them. But yeah, there's all kinds of settings in here that you can modify. And these are, a lot of these are in the files, and you have to go find these if you don't know where they're at. That could be a pain. If you don't know what you can change them to, that can be a pain. But here makes it a little bit easier, and it's the same as the other thing. You can just highlight it, and it'll tell you what it does. Except for like chat stream, but I guess you're supposed to know what that means. But a lot of these other ones will tell you what they, whether you want people to be able to do factions, how many players max. This one's set to 32. I could set it to 10. There's all kinds of different. It's a specific boot up map point. Do you want to make your server public? Right there. And you just click change, for example, and it's just going to give you a drop-down menu, and it's either true or false. So it makes it a lot easier than you having to figure out what you want to change it to. You want to change the message that it says, like you just click it, change, and then you change it, and then I can even reset it back to default. So there's all kinds of little settings in here that you can change. Some of them are server related, like the VPN and the UPD ports, what they need to be. These were changed by default based on the server I was setting up, but if you need to modify them for any reason, you can. Yeah, unfortunately, these are in alphabetical order, so if you know roughly what you're looking to change, but you can't find it easily, you could use the filter down here and just type it. So there's like all kinds of open. Right here, open clients may join with already have an account. Like that's if you want to make accounts, but you can put a password on your server. So I don't really find that one a necessary option, but you put a password on your server, then that's just another box that they have to fill in, and they can't just log in and join your server without that. Or pause empty. That's a really helpful one. Game time stops when there are no players online. So if nobody's playing, the time doesn't move forward, which is great because you have limited time on there for the power and stuff, depending on what settings and stuff you adjust, and then your sandbox options. So there are a few options that do not show up in here that are only adjustable in the files. So it just depends. It's generally going to be the same, I think, from my experience from the 2 servers I've tried. I'm going to show you guys those as well. All right. Now, with the few settings that aren't available from the admin, so you can go to your cache. It should just be in your files, wherever that may be, very on server. Your files, go to cache, and then you're going to go down and look for server. It's pretty much like I've done 2 different servers for 2 different websites. These work pretty much exactly the same. You're going to look for the name of your server, which mine's named challenge, so it'll say challenge.ini. But by default, any server I've ever done starts project. I go ahead and delete that because it's just wasted space. But whatever you change it to, that's the one you want to modify. So go into challenge, and then you see all those settings I just showed you, the server settings right here, except for we could not find password. So we're just going to scroll till we find the password one, which I believe is toward the bottom. I went a little too far though. So like before the UPnP, right here. Yep. So you'll see line 163 password, and that's where you can change that you couldn't normally change in the admin settings. So if we go back to server after that, and then we go to sandbox, it'll be still same name, challenge, and then an underscore for me, but it would be something different for you guys. It's whatever the name of your server is. You go here, too far. There is a hidden setting that does not show up with the water shut off, and so like right here, 2 equals 30 days. There's drop downs that say 0 to 30 days, but they do not have the second setting, which is a multiplier. So you have electric shut off at 2, but you have these multipliers right here. And they're by default, they're 14. But if for some reason you adjust the presets, some of those presets extend that number higher, and it seems to make the power and water stay on longer. So I recommend keeping an eye on these. If you do using the presets, like I said, if you want to be more standard, I think 14 is the way you want to go. I haven't played around with this too much to see how it affects, but I do know I'm over 30 days on a different server, and this number was set to 400, and the water and power are still on. So I'm going to end up probably turning that down and possibly losing my power and waters as soon as I do that. I'm not sure. But yeah, like I said, this is a number to kind of keep in mind. It doesn't explain itself at all, but I'm guessing it modifies this to be better or worse. Because I know these are like 0 to 30 days, 0 to 2 months, 0 to 6 months, 0 to a year, 0 to 5 years, 2 to 6 months. So these numbers extend out instant. Switching that to 1 is going to be instant. So these multipliers, I think, let the dice roll a little bit, because anywhere between 0 and 30. Maybe this is a minimum of 14 days. I'm not sure. 0 to anywhere between there. And I'm assuming these multipliers extend that out and let the dice roll a little better, more toward lasting, I guess. Would be my educated guess. But I'd have to play around with that to see. So thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope this helped at all if you're setting up your own Zomboid server. So I know friends have had issues with this, so this is super helpful, I thought, if I show this guy. So I couldn't find videos and stuff for some of this stuff.